Thanks for joining us again. Doing it a little bit differently this time, Jared. This episode. We're going to do each episode of the new season of Slasher, Ripper. We did this for the last season.
Someone's colon out.
Oh yeah, someone's colon. We'll get to that. But we did this for the last season. We went episode by episode. Spoilers. Was that correct, or was it no spoilers? Spoilers. Spoilers through up the arse.
Yes.
And we ran through who we thought our suspects were, and so on and so forth until we got to the end. Yeah, if I remember correctly, we were not on the money.
No, of course not.
And I thought some young girl was eating fucking bird shit. So we were way off the mark, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Forget killers. We could not even identify what was fucking going on the dock in the first episode. So
okay, so hopefully we'll be a little bit better at that. But before we get to that, Jared, I'm going to throw this out there. We're now into season 5, Slasher. Rate the first 4 seasons in order.
Rate them in order?
Yeah. From favourite to worst.
My favourite was the last one.
Flesh and Blood.
In terms of how much I enjoyed them going along, probably the first season after that. And then 2 and 3 are sort of similar for me. I didn't love either of those ones.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Well, I would have you know that I have just recently rewatched season 2, and I'm now 2 episodes into season 3.
Yep.
I would agree. I think Flesh and Blood is by far the best. Where can you not get erstwhile director fucking David Cronenberg laughing hysterically and calling people fucking assholes and things like that?
Yeah.
Nowhere else but here.
Nowhere else.
In my book, that makes up for a lot of issues, any issues that were in there.
Yep.
I like that from a perspective of the idea of, the whole bringing the family together on the island. It's classic.
And they tossed a little bit of Saw in there.
Yeah.
Playing games and shit.
And it had a April Fool's Day
and
feel.
The best designed killer. The best sort of killer costume.
Definitely.
But yeah, I feel like that season and then the first couple of episodes of this one have really kind of hit on this, right? Well, we're just going to go all out with the themes. We're going to go a little bit different. Whereas the first one was pretty standard slashery stuff. Second one's similar but different setting. Third one, they're trying to branch out into something new. And then 4 and the first couple of episodes of this one, it's just like, nah, fuck, we can do whatever we want. We can set this wherever we want.
Yeah.
Which is good. I like it.
So I think Flesh and Blood is my favourite. Guilty Party, which was season 2, is my second favourite. I love the camp. Know what you did last summer.
I was going to say, we know that you love it. You love the
Winter Wonderland,
the snow. That's giving you points there.
But I'm not going to lie, the ending is fucking ludicrous. Like it's probably the worst thought out ending for me. And that includes my least favourite season. Then after Guilty Party, I go with the first season. Then it's Solstice season 3 that I really didn't like.
Yeah.
It's really sleazy. All the characters are real pricks. Like it's
And
I know what they're trying to go for. That apartment block of people who are not marginalised, but they're from different walks, different backgrounds and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's a bad part of town. The cops aren't interested. But it's bullshit. Like, it's ridiculous.
So essentially, we really only differ on.
We differ on season 2.
Everything else is pretty much in line. Other than you being just taken in by beautiful scenery again.
Exactly. And then thumbing my nose at sleaze. As soon as someone gets their clothes off, I'm like,
Yeah. That's. I mean, we mentioned that we've got.
I'm such a fucking prude.
Season 2 involves criminals up to all sorts of antics, and you find with that one because there's a bit of a snow-covered mountain to distract you. But we take it into an apartment with a couple of sleazy antics going on. You're saying no, thank you.
No. That wasn't the only reason. It's also the gore is ramped up to the absolute max. It's almost like they've just broken the shackles and just gone to town.
Yeah.
And so 2 episodes in, you've already got 4 kills.
Yeah.
I mean, they just go overboard almost. And it feels a little bit like they were stretched for character development, so they decided to just pile in the violence. I mean, there is a decapitation that's fucking unbelievable. Like, it is. It has to be seen to be believed.
Well, I've seen it.
Okay, so that's how we see it.
Yep.
So let's look at episode 1, season 5, Slasher Ripper.
The Slaughterhouse, I believe.
The Slaughterhouse. How did you feel about that?
I was pretty happy with it. In general, they started to put out the players for the mystery aspect of it. They've put something that's interesting to me.
Yep.
And I think given the budget, the period stuff didn't look too bad. When they got sets, it looks pretty good. The exteriors, you can tell they're shooting things pretty tight. They're not moving around much.
But that's okay.
But we know it's not a high budget. And I think for the money that it seems like they've got to spend, it looks pretty good.
What do you think the budget is on this? Because, I mean, I was pretty happy with the way things have played.
Yeah.
I don't think it looks cheap, and for me, I love that aesthetic.
It doesn't look cheap, I think, yeah, and it's harder to do the period stuff on a budget. But we know that Shudder's not exactly handing over Netflix money. So.
No, but it was on Netflix previously, wasn't it?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, but even then, I think it was only seasons 2 and 3 that Netflix were
actually made. Chiller was the first season, I think.
Yeah, it's the same guys that were working on Terror Train with Tubi, and we know that wasn't high budgets. So
yeah,
I think they're getting the best out of what they've got there.
Yeah, and for me, I love that sort of late 1800s Jack the Ripper sort of aesthetic that they run, the cobblestone streets and all that sort of stuff. I think that stuff's great.
Yeah. And
I think it looks really good on film. We open with some... I mean, fuck. We impale that guy on a fucking... I don't know, that block would be about... What? 3 inches square each way?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
He's fucking impaled on it. Now, I've got a question for
Initially,
you.
I was thinking that was part of the transaction that he'd arranged.
Oh, so that's where you're going.
Doesn't cost it.
Hang on. I said a steel pipe, not a fucking bollard. I really like the way that he kind of came down and, you know, did his usual sort of, you know, shtick, and then someone called him out on it. The pimp called him out and basically said, you know, they found the blade inside his cane.
Yep.
And the pimp basically called him out and told him to fuck off, and then as he's heading back, he finds... I mean, I love the fact that he's just walking along and he sees a woman, he's like, ooh.
Yeah.
He's like... I mean, you don't look across and think to yourself, she could be trouble.
No.
Get out of here.
Well, you know, in this character that we've concocted, he just immediately whips out the knife and starts making threats and being a real scumbag. But that's, I thought, the opening played out pretty well.
Yeah, and you know, classic, it seems to be the staple of slasher. They start with that kind of a grotesque sort of death. And this one is pretty damn grotesque.
Yes.
I like the use of, like, were they shears kind of thing?
Yeah,
jamming his back.
Yep.
I really like the use of that.
Or cleaving something.
Or cleaving him in twain, Jared, from bumhole to fucking neck.
Yeah. Isn't that what the guy said? He's extended his asshole up to his neck or something.
Yeah, the cop, the fucking chief, he makes a number of gags at the guy's expense. I'm like, this bloke has been impaled on a fucking pylon. Have some sensitivity, you mongrel.
Give the man a shred of dignity.
Don't fucking shit all over him. God. But I like the opening. I actually like the look of the widow.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
It's kind of a cool look.
Yep.
The whole sort of veil and all that stuff. Nice addition to the sort of the list of kind of killers and how they're dressed.
Yep.
If I had one negative to say about Guilty Party, that's one of that. It's
just the jacket.
The ski jacket and hood thing doesn't really, do much.
No.
It's not really menacing in any way.
Yeah. You've sort of already mentioned it too, but the gore is very much still there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Maybe toned it down a touch from Solstice.
Holy Christ.
but yeah, it's still pretty...
Although I remember Flesh and Blood being pretty nasty
too.
Nasty
as well, yep. So that's all still in play.
Yeah. I actually think we then sort of go into some characters. Then we get Crenshaw, the bloke who sort of owns the brothel, who's sort of, knows the pimps and shit around the area. We've also got Garvey, is it?
Garvey,
played by Eric McCormack, who is fucking excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what?
A little bit of Cronenberg there.
Yeah, a little bit of Cronenberg. Plus, he's playing against type.
Yeah.
That's not his normal bag.
No.
And I initially thought he was like the star, but he's kind of not. He's not really the star, and he's kind of a bastard.
Yeah, he is. He's a real bastard.
Quite a bastard.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that you sort of bring in a character actor who doesn't usually play these type of parts.
Yeah, and the story regarding him and the workers on the street and whatever is pretty solid, bringing the whole class thing into it.
Yeah, he
kind
owns
of
everything.
A shady sort of character as well, so it throws all the necessary spanners in the works to have you start casting your eye in basically every direction related to, who's got it in for Garvey. Garvey himself still involved, but you think it's going to play out that it's someone else.
Yeah.
I'm targeting him, but yeah, it's all working pretty well in that regard to kick things off.
I did find that scene quite strange where the guy's having his kidney.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up.
A little bit strange.
What's going on here?
And someone's cracking gags in the fucking peanut gallery. And one of the ladies just kind of sitting there.
Oh, kidney. Is that what she's saying?
She makes a joke.
Are you serious? These fuckers need to get some...
I'm working here.
These assholes...
delicate work.
Yeah, but also, as soon as someone gets fucking... has a kidney removed or is impaled on a pylon, everyone thinks it's the fucking funniest thing they've ever heard.
Yeah, exactly. If I was cutting away, I'd be saying, "Oi, you get lippy once more, and I'll fucking
shut the fuck up." Yeah. It was also a weird scene.
It was a little bit.
I wasn't quite sure what the go was with that.
It was a little bit strange.
I mean, it must be showing off kind of that period surgery.
Medicine?
Yeah, medicine.
Or black market, like a kidney.
I mean, he was in a fucking bath full of ice, wasn't he?
Yeah. I just came to buy some fucking painkillers.
Yeah. What he found, he was in a bath full of ice, and he sent a fucking carrier pigeon. No, he received a carrier pigeon telling him not to get out of there.
Yeah.
One thing about the first murder, though, Jared, I'm going to come back to. It would have taken some time to impale that motherfucker on that thing. When I say time, I mean like half an hour.
Yes, and it appears that they were moved from the back streets to a kind of more open sort of open area.
What are you up to?
Yeah, it's
nothing.
It's a weekend at Bernie's. She's propping him up on one side.
He's had too much to drink. He's fucking arsehole's like this wine. I'll get him home.
Yeah. I mean, you know how it is in the 19th century. Our food standards not that great. He's, something's hit him hard. He's blown his arsehole out.
Yeah, you won't believe this. He shat out a metal bollard. I didn't believe it either.
Yeah, it's. I think there seemed to be people walking the streets.
I think she needs a good half hour to put him on that.
Yeah,
and that kind of strains a bit of credibility there.
Just a little bit,
just a smidgen. But still, I still like the death. I thought the way it was set up, how he gets himself kind of. Because he's into a bit of kink, the big boy, and then he gets tied up to the wall.
Yes. And then he gets tied up
jacked,
to the wall. And he gets jacked. And at this point, there's still a hint on his face of, this is interesting.
He starts getting fucking fired up when she walks away.
Yeah.
He's like, what's going on here?
Yes.
So I still enjoyed all that. The idea of finding the message in the actual corpse was a good one.
Yeah, it was pretty solid.
I like that, sort of having that extra kind of, they need to dig a little deeper into the autopsy to find something.
And I dig that they, initially they were following the detective and it's showing that he's very thorough in a time when shit can get mixed.
Yeah. All right. Look, he's been fucking impaled. Yeah. He's been impaled on a bollard. He's got fucking 500 stab wounds.
Yeah.
Look, mate, misadventure.
He comes back and she's like, "You're questioning my work?" And he's like, "Well, no, I just found this." I'd be saying, "Yeah, I'm questioning your work because last time I walked in, you were fucking procuring an organ to sell on the black market, seemingly." And yes, I am
in the fucking 19th century, selling it on the black market was walking out in the street going, "Does anyone want this?"
With a bell. Ding, 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 ding. It was just a smaller bell.
Pre-loved kidney for sale.
Just a smaller bell than the people that were selling things legitimately.
Exactly.
Whereas, you walk out with your trench coat and go, "Psst, you need a kidney?"
Kidney? Of course, you're not wearing anything under it either. So it's a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
You can buy a kidney, but you can also see my cock.
Yeah. And the trench coat's handy because it's covered up the fucking metal bollard on it. Protruding out of my backside at the moment. It got stuck there last night.
It's also good to see that dildos were similar back in the day.
Yeah, the 19th century dildo collection.
It looks pretty fucking standard.
Yeah. Part of the course. Just concerned about what it was made out of.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look, it was definitely cut from fucking soapstone or something. Just me. She's a slippery one, that one.
Yeah, just thinking, you don't want to
keep it used to
give yourself any rashes.
Yeah, use 2 hands on that one, mate. It'll fucking fly out before you know it.
Jesus Christ.
And then we finished the episode with the pimp getting his head cut off in quite a nasty fashion.
Yep.
They're into sawing things in this show.
Yeah. But I like the way they kind of cut. It was close, and then they kind of cut to further behind. So you can see the body kind of just drop there. That was all very effective. Yeah. And they got me for a split second when he threw the girl into the pole, and she split her head open. I thought, they've thrown a swerve here at us. Oh, mate, this used to be taken out by the end of the first episode.
He's not got it.
He's still here, but then that was all pretty good actually.
Yeah, I did dig all that. Did you have anything else within the episode that you were also happy with?
No, as I said, just in general, I thought the setting up of the characters and everything was pretty good. I was interested how it was all playing out to start with.
Okay, suspects. Jared.
Suspect.
Who you got? You got someone? You got anyone on the radar straight away?
No, I didn't have anyone on the radar straight away. I did have a couple of things that I thought could have been just
interesting,
improved a little bit. But
improved.
Yeah, you mentioned that you liked the costume. I thought it was pretty solid too. I just thought perhaps just a little more flair, like last season. I'd like just a touch more flair.
Just a little bit of sort of what? Okay, just give it a little bit of pop of colour.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, something like that. Else. But I think overall I'm pretty happy. The magician. Why does he sound like the bloke that sang Chocolate Rain?
I don't know.
Every time he's talking.
Yeah.
Take a trip to the other side.
Yeah, he is an interesting
I can't expect him to crack out.
And some of that stuff didn't work for me.
No, and I think...
And I'll get into it more in the second episode.
Yeah.
It works less in the second episode, even.
If you have a choice, you got to take one of them on a train trip. Is the guy from Terror Train or is this bloke?
Well, I'll tell you what, the guy from Terror Train, I'm probably getting sexually harassed. So I'll probably take that guy.
No, I'll tell you why I'm taking the guy.
Because at least that guy puts me to sleep with his voice.
Yeah, well, that guy just continued on with his
scullery.
Whereas at least the guy on Terror Train, by the sequel, he walked into a room, tried a drink, and said "fuck this," and went to the bar cart.
Yeah, true.
So I'm like, that's my sort of company.
Yeah, he at least understood his fucking foibles and how he was shit.
I also there was a handful of times in the first episode where we kept going back to the sisters. And I was just kind of thinking, I'm not sure about this one. This one's not grabbing me. But then, by the end of the episode, we're ending up with someone firing up at the other and people spanking each other. So I was like, okay, well, this is getting a little more interesting, isn't it?
And one of them fucking frothing at the mouth. She was absolutely going off.
Absolutely raging.
Yeah, but that's,
That was really the only... if I could say anything that I was not so positive on, they were really it, which in the run of things is all pretty positive.
Yeah, agreed. I would suggest it was, pretty positive stuff all round. Now,
Suspects. I can tell you, by the end of the first episode, I had nothing.
You had nothing?
Nothing. Well,
I had Crenshaw initially tabbed a touch because I thought he owns the brothel, right? He knows the players on the street.
Yep.
It behooves him that that the street is cleared and everyone's working in his establishment.
Yeah.
Basically.
And it's got to be out of a certain group of people. We know the police chief is one of the people that was in this inner circle that seems to be
correct
concerned. Garvey would seem to be not in the mix. He would seem to be the target.
Yeah, here's the target.
The ultimate target.
That could be the ultimate, bait and switch, though.
But I can tell you this. It moves into the second episode where I came onto something and then... Well, we'll talk about it then, because we're obviously going to get onto that.
Because I initially also felt, Pimp Master was possibly up for it, and then he had his head removed, so I quickly realised, nah.
Yeah. Well, the other one I was still on was the surgeon, the one conducting autopsies and things like that. I didn't have a lot to go on there, but I was on that.
Okay, well, that would have some weight in my book.
Minus it'd have a body weight minus a couple of organs.
Yeah. I had a couple of interesting angles that I wanted to look at.
Okay.
The whole 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. And Margaret and her death.
Yep.
Which we kind of catch right at the end of episode 1. I felt like, this stuff intrigued me a little bit.
Yeah.
As to where it might go. But I was also a little bit kind of like, haven't we been here? Isn't this kind of what Guilty Party was too?
Yeah.
We looking back on a previous incident and how it's affected everyone.
Yep.
So I was a little bit disappointed, slightly. Now I'd like to see where it goes, and I'd like to know what exactly the connection is before I shit can it.
Well, so I guess the difference is, and I could be misremembering Guilty Party here, but correct me if I'm wrong, that was an accident, right?
It was an accident that she tripped, but she was still alive, and they realised she couldn't. She was going to finger them.
Yeah.
So they bashed her head in.
Yep. So, I guess the difference... Well, it hasn't played out yet, but it seems to me like there is going to be a party that is responsible.
Yeah.
And then a couple of people were in amongst covering it up. Small difference, but you're right. It felt
a little bit like we were in the same ballpark.
But, you throw a couple of bonnets on people and you throw a couple of, pantaloons.
And you forgot all about it.
no one's noticed.
Exactly. Well, I mean, had I have just not rewatched Guilty Party, I probably would have been like, this is by my mind.
This feels so fresh.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it feels so fresh. So that's really it for me on episode 1.
Yeah, same. Like, as I said, I had donuts when it came to the killer. I was still looking around going, I have no reason.
But you have form for picking the killer in this series.
First season,
first season, yes. I mean, fuck, he stuck out like
third season. Well, the first season I had it pegged in less than 10 minutes, I believe. So
I think I blame the actor for that.
That's my all-timer. And then the third season, a few episodes in, I was circling the killers.
Right.
Last season, not so much. And season 2, I didn't pick the twist.
That's because it was so stupid. It's because it was so stupid that nobody would have picked it.
Okay.
But looking back on that, just interestingly enough, you can see it. It's like The Sixth Sense. Looking back on The Sixth Sense. So, episode 1, a solid start. Solid start.
Pretty happy with it.
I'm pretty happy with it.
Yep.
Looking forward to episode 2.
Yes.
This is a weekly. It's coming out weekly, isn't it? It's not a binge watch. They gave us the first 2 episodes straight, and then
yes,
the next episode. Each episode will come out every
Thursday.
Week. That's it. Episode 1 of Slasher Ripper.
Do you believe in vengeance? Or demons on the side of the living?
Looks like a double-bladed weapon.
How does someone do that? They're not a living being.
Witnesses say they saw a woman.
The Widow. Perfect name for a killer.
The Widow is not some magic succubus. He's just a coward who knows what happened 12 years ago.
This was violent, methodical.
The killer's sending a message.
Things are very dangerous for people like us. What the I'm not running from the empire that I built.
We have a picture of all of you. You think you're targets. Why?
Whoever did that knew a thing or two about human anatomy.
I fear for your soul. We're all dropping like flies.
It seems unstoppable.
I know what you did.
Please, I'm not doing anything.
I shouldn't have to die for one mistake! I'm not a killer!
I'll rid myself of you once and for all!
Darkness will follow. Darkness is already here.
Nighty-night.
Thanks for joining us again. Episode 2 of Slasher Ripper, Jared. Let's just dive straight into this bad boy. How did you see it? What was your take on episode 2? Were you still happy where we were?
Yeah, still reasonably happy. I think there was probably a little bit too much time spent with the magician this episode, but
Yeah.
all in all, the stuff around that is working out reasonably well. Things are developing at an reasonable pace. If I was to lean one way, I'd say it's coming together slowly. But we're getting enough of what's previously happened between people. Similar to last season, I felt there was a bit of an issue sometimes if you got some information about someone just as they were about to die. So it was hard to put some angles together on some people early on.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of feeling that way. But, the handful of people that I'm looking at are still alive, so that's a plus.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't enjoy this one as much, this episode as much. They're slowly moving things forward about whatever happened 12 years ago.
Yep.
Like, we're starting to get a little bit more of that. That's being fleshed out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And a suspect popped up on my radar because of that,
Okay.
which is good. We're seeing more of Garvey. We understand his power, the way he kind of shuts down the whole media thing straight away,
Yep.
You kill the story, you get rid of it, or you'll be fucking out of a job. I also like the fact that they kind of had this little take about the media creating the widow.
Yes.
The creation of the widow via media, which, is an interesting angle at it from such an old period of time in comparison to the way we look at it now.
Yep.
Eric McCormack's still doing really good work.
Yes.
Because, again, he is starting to really showcase what a bastard he is.
Yeah, he's a nice addition. And I think it's, as you said, quality actor, but playing something we haven't really seen that much from him.
Yeah, and he's really good. The sight of the media lady being pushed into the mangler so it would sleep was a fair old sight to behold.
Yep.
And another nice addition to this kind of gory set pieces. They seem to be able to find some really intriguing ways to kill people.
Yep.
In this series, in
interesting.
series across the whole, which is good. It's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I think the strengths that were there last season are generally still there for the most part. And I think, again, I was happy with how the period stuff was looking. I think they've done quite well to put all that together.
Agreed. The possession stuff, that's where the episode let me down.
A little, yeah.
It felt like a supernatural element that didn't fit. Like it didn't...
Yeah, I was a little...
I didn't feel a need for that.
Yeah, look...
Because I felt like that guy was more like, he was a charlatan.
Yeah, well, he was. That's what I thought the whole thing is, that he was. But, look, I'm happy for it to play out at the moment, but because, I want to see where it goes. But it did kind of take away from the investigation side of it, which I thought was working pretty well through the first episode. We didn't get as much of it here as a result of how much time we spent with the magician.
And we were getting somewhere with that investigation about the left hand, the killer with the left-handed killer, all that stuff. We were getting somewhere,
Yeah.
and then it kind of grinds to a halt. We also lose a kind of a suspect because, well, not lose a suspect, but the first victim's wife. Now she turns into the Exorcist. I mean,
Well, she's still in play, isn't she?
she's still in play, but quite frankly,
But
she
it seems,
feels like she was possessed by something, and I don't know whether that fit for me. Well, it certainly didn't fit for me.
Yeah, look, it's something that they haven't played with a whole lot. The whole supernatural angle. I don't recall it being in any of the other seasons, really.
No, I don't think so, no.
So I'm okay to see where it's going. But yeah, I thought the reaction was a bit funny because I thought it was like supposed to be clearly that this bloke was fucking pulling everyone's leg. But then the reaction is kind of like, I don't know whether he's just running with it, but he doesn't seem like shocked.
Yeah, I know. Whereas I'd be shocked if some woman sitting there talking to me like this.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
her eyes are rolling back in her head and all that sort of stuff.
Not only that, but you gave me nothing. You've gone all this effort and you just told me how many more people are going to be killed, but you didn't tell me who's
Who's doing it, asshole?
Exactly.
Ask some questions, mate.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to know something.
Yeah. So that was... Yeah, I agree in that it kind
Took away from it.
It seemed to take away from what I thought was going okay, which was the investigation sort of just slowly pulling these leads together.
Yeah.
And us then getting flashbacks and things to sort of fill some of that info in.
Totally agree. Okay.
I got to say, though, in terms of the stuff I did like, I mentioned last episode that I was initially sceptical about the Three Sisters, and then this episode I'm like, fuck, that one's got me all wrapped up. I'm kind of interested in the dynamic of how they're going. I think that, what's her name, Sabrina Gerdovich, is it? The older sister. I think she's really good. She was very good last season too, playing the pompous artist kind of angle. I think she's quite good. But the three of them together, like initially I was like, oh, geez, can we get back to a bit of the investigation? Now I'm sort of thinking, what's going to happen here tonight? Who's getting whipped?
Who's getting paddled tonight? Yeah, grab me the popcorn.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. When's the next time we're going to be spanking each other?
But what I liked about that, though, is the dynamic between the sisters, who there's a real dark sort of, blame sort of game being played by the two older sisters.
Yeah.
Yet she didn't do anything to seize Eric McCormack's kind of eye.
No.
And he basically tells her straight that we'll be getting married. We'll be getting engaged.
I really enjoyed the way he kind of...
He's just kind of laying on the power trip. He's just power tripping.
He just put himself in there, and then there was part of it where you could think in your head, oh, well, this is kind of what he might have done to the other sister, who now thinks she's betrothed and all this sort of stuff. So
yeah,
I thought that was kind of cool.
And so she did nothing to warrant any of this, and then the sisters come home and immediately start
fucking raging. Flying off the fucking handle every opportunity they get.
I mean, there's 0 to 100. There's spanking your fucking sister to death. And these guys are in absolutely rage mode.
Actually, when they came down and had breakfast together, I was kind of hoping for a little bit of kind of, Naked Gunny spoof territory where she'd sit down and go, ooh, because her ass is still sore from the paddling and things.
Oh, she gets out one of donuts.
I got none of that.
Yeah, I know. I was a bit disappointed in that. You would have a pretty sore ass.
Oh, my oath. Especially because she fucking wallops her on the first one and then goes, we're not finished yet.
What?
Like, oh, shit.
Hang on a second.
I'm done.
Oh, not
what's my safe word? You haven't given me a fucking safe word yet.
Pancake.
Yeah. But that I don't know why, but that kind of that little triangle with Garvey kind of throwing himself into the mix as well had me very intrigued.
We also saw more of Garvey's kind of hold on the place.
Yes.
On the the entire sort of area.
Yeah,
he owns it all.
The media.
He just shut down the media. He basically tells that girl, "We're getting engaged, whether you like it or not."
Yep.
You know, he kind of just ingratiates himself into the. I mean, fuck! She turns up and he's sitting there in the house.
Yeah. I thought he was going to offer her a donut to sit on.
Yeah. Oh, your ass is sore. Here. I've just blown this up for you. Take a seat. Okay, suspects. Come on.
I'm still on the. I
You're
don't know why. I'm still on the surgeon.
You're still on the surgeon.
Yeah,
you've got absolutely nothing.
I've got nothing to go on, but I'm looking at the characters that are under the radar somewhat, that are just still in the background at this point, with not much of a reason. And she also, I don't know, she also, every time she comes on screen, she kind of has this look like, you know,
like Roy.
You've just been caught doing something you shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
But that's probably reasonable when she's around.
You remove a kidney without fucking telling a bloke.
Yeah, so
that's how it goes.
Aside from that, there's still something there for me with, I cannot remember his name. Did you say Crenshaw?
Yeah.
And
his side player.
How do you say it? Salome or Salome? Yeah. Like, I feel like there's still something there.
Well, those two have got they'll definitely have been involved in the 12 years ago. Like somehow they'll have been involved.
Well, you know, that's where the photos came from.
Yep.
Showing a little bit of, you know, a little bit of nighttime activity.
Smut. Oh yeah, that's right. McCormack getting. He obviously enjoys the walloping as well.
Was that sandstone? Soapstone.
Whoops. Sorry. I've actually lost that in your ass. You hang on to it, damn it. It looks like Jerry McCormack was enjoying himself far too much there.
Yeah. So that was in the mix.
Yes. I've also got a little bit of the pastor. It's pretty clear that's his dad. Is it his dad who was hung?
Yes.
For the crime?
Yep.
So he's got motive.
Well, this brings together something that I was going.
And then Garvey tells him to fuck off.
Yeah.
It was great.
This brings me to something. We've got two members of the cast that have previously been the killer on a season.
Really?
He's one of them.
Who was he?
He was the killer in the first season.
Oh, right.
And also the detective was the brother in the third season of the Killers.
Oh, really?
So that actually works because you're looking at it going,
well, these guys have been in the show.
Would they double up? Would they go with another killer? And then part of me, like, you look at a character and think, no, they're not going to do it. But then I'm thinking that would be a really good little way to go. Like,
that's also the great thing about reusing the cast.
Yeah.
Where's Cronenberg?
You can't
bring the bloke back.
I'm hoping he'll do a cameo. As, you know, I don't know. They wander into a saloon
moron.
And he's some bloke at the bar telling everyone they're assholes. Or, what's your art installations? What the fuck's that?
I feel like the pastor is a good one so far because that creates a motive.
Yeah. Well,
he's roaming around with the bullshit story of like repent.
Yeah.
Repent and all this sort of stuff in this.
Just seems a little too similar to the first one.
A little bit.
Because he was a pastor's son in that one, wasn't he?
Christ almighty, this guy's been fucking pigeonholed.
Yeah, well, okay, so if that's going to track, then he's the killer too.
No, it's not him. I thought about it. He looks like he's put on some condition.
Could I just ask,
did you, in 5 years.
Were you watching the first two
episodes? Of course I was. He definitely did not look like he did in the first season. I'm going to say that right now.
Mm.
The bloke's put on some condition.
I thought he'd...
He decreased
a little bit.
No, I don't know.
It's
maybe he just looked different because of the way
This is a good thing, right? Because you've got someone in a similar role that they were when they were the killer. You've got someone in the completely opposite, but just because he's kind of trying to unravel things doesn't mean there's not some involvement from him to still sort of come.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the killer. I'm just going to toss it out there. I don't think he's the killer.
No, and look, I'm going to be honest. I think it's hard to pick up the early going on suspects.
Yeah,
because really there's not a lot of information out there just yet.
Well, the left-handed thing was interesting. I was trying to keep an eye on who was using right hands, left hands. I thought I recalled someone shaking hands with the left in an earlier episode, but then I couldn't fucking remember who it was or think about when it happened. I may have made it up. It may not have actually happened.
Yeah, I think, look.
But anyway.
With your fucking current form, I suggest you made it up.
Yeah. Well, with my current form, you might want to double check whether he was actually, the bloke that you're on was actually in season 1, whether he was actually the killer, because I could be totally wrong about that
look,
too.
as I said, he's put some condition on. He might be a different bloke.
Yeah.
The interesting angle for me still is the fact that you've got that solid hook of the connecting the two murders.
Yeah.
From 12 years apart.
Yeah. And there's still a lot to come.
Yeah.
There's still a lot to unravel there.
It's nothing groundbreaking.
It's usually season 3 or 4 where things start to... Sorry, episode 3 or 4 in this length of season where I feel like you start to get some clarity around your ideas.
Yes. It's nothing groundbreaking.
No.
None of this is groundbreaking.
No.
But I can see it kind of opening up some really good... Some character stuff and some opening up some sort of options about who the killer is over the next few episodes as we kind of tease out what happened back then. Which I think is interesting.
I'm more interested in what we're escalating to next episode for the two sisters that are going to be wailing on the other sister. We went from a bare hand to a whip. I want to see what's coming up next.
Only you scumbag. The rest of us are interested in the characters.
Well, you seem to be interested in characters that you don't actually know whether
they are
related to anyone. Or...
Well, no, I knew he was. Yeah, it must have been his brother, and I know I like the
his dad.
or his dad, whichever one. But I did like the way he steps up there and says, you're putting an innocent man to death and all that stuff.
We agreed on the best thing so far is Garvey. And
definitely.
Whenever there's scenes with him kind of,
telling people where it's at.
Yeah. But I like that it's not just as I said, that's where you're getting your Cronenberg this season, but you're also you see the charming kind of devil in disguise sort of thing that he puts on with the younger sister. Cronenberg didn't have any of that. He was just all out. Everyone's an arsehole, this and that.
He was an absolute prick from go to woe.
Yep.
Yeah, correct. So Garvey's kind of got this, we don't know, and that plays nicely into the whodunit.
Yeah, he's playing some games.
We don't quite know what he's about.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing to have up your sleeve, because it means that people are still sitting there going, well, where does this guy fit in?
Yeah.
So I'm happy. I'm really happy with the episode. Currently where we are after the first 2 episodes. I think the proof will be in the pudding in terms of the quality of the season over the next couple.
Yes.
That's where it's really going to shine, or it's going to shit itself.
Yes.
So this is where I feel like I'm on tenterhooks as to what happens next.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
All right, that's episode 2 of Slasher Ripper. As I said, every week we will drop another episode covering off on each one of the 8 episodes as they go through. But until then, take it easy, everyone, and we'll catch you all later. Cheers.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.